But before that, there's rapid motorization in Ghana leading to increase in dangerous driving and road crashes. Human factors seem to be compounding road crash problem here in Ghana. Indiscipline among road users, especially drivers, has been identified as the main contributory factor to the increase in road traffic crashes. The Yuletide is approaching. What can be done to reduce the incidence of drivers involved in dangerous driving? Director of Planning and Programs at the National Road Safety Authority, Mr. Daniel Adonting, joins us here for some discussion and education as we prepare for Christmas. Thank you very much for your time here this morning. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. First off, let's start from the basic. David says, sorry for that error. Let's start from the basics. What, according to the law, constitutes dangerous driving?
Thank you very much, and good morning to all our cherished viewers and listeners. Again, as you said, we are closer to the Yuletide. Yuletide, Christmas is coming. We have just come out of elections, and we have all seen how we fared as a nation. Considering, if you look at the dailies, we have put up statistics suggesting the performance of road safety on our roads in terms of the number of deaths, injuries, the crashes themselves. We have put up 7 to 10. The voting day to the 10th of December, we recorded 44 deaths, 155 crashes, and then 157 injuries. Compared to the same period, 2016, we've seen that the number of deaths remains the same. The injuries, we have made some savings because 2016 we recorded 169 injuries, and so about 7% savings. The number of crashes have increased by 55%. Now, the circumstances that led to these crashes have also been explained. It is the same story we always talk about, the indiscipline on the part of motorists, particularly our drivers. This time around, people had to do things beyond what we expected them to do. For example, during the day of voting and after the voting, when the presidential elections, the winner was announced, the parliamentary candidates, those who won, were also announced. People were excited. They moved into the streets and did what is unexpected. Drink driving beyond speed limits, total disrespect to the law, and so led to some of the crashes and the deaths that we are recording. I think that's how we're moving into the Christmas festivities. The same excitement will be with people. They are still enjoying themselves, especially those who have won the elections. And as they do that, they disregard the rules and regulations that govern the road. They will be driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs, speeding beyond limits, overtaking anywhere without due care to other road users. And then those who sit on motorbikes will continue to do what they're doing. We saw them not wearing helmets and then riding anyhow. They maneuvering their way through the streets and through traffic. They don't stop at intersections when it is red and so on. I think these are signs that we recorded. We identified that we're holding on to our Arrive Alive campaign to intensify our education program, which we call Arrive Alive. We are communicating to the general populace that the elections is over, yes, indeed, but we are moving into Christmas, which is itself another public season event that people are going to move around to their various destinations, to their hometowns. Drivers are going to take advantage, especially the commercial vehicle ones, who, because some of them think they have lost a lot of resources because of the pandemic, it has come to a time that they want to harvest their cocoa, which it is a wrong notion. So we are intensifying education through the media. We are moving from lorry station to lorry station, together with our media partners, including the multimedia. We are also moving from church to church, from schools to school. Some of the schools are in session, so we are into schools. We are also moving from toll booth to toll booth. Wherever we can have the opportunity to engage human beings, the public, we are doing that. But the responsibility will not lie on us alone. We are expecting our colleagues from the police, the MTTD, to also move out now. I think we had limited number of them on the streets because of the elections. I don't know for what reason, but getting into Christmas is a different ball game altogether. Everybody must be involved. So we are asking the police also to move out there, spread themselves across the strategic areas on the highways, especially, and then they also enforce the laws and the regulations. But I can assure you that the National Road Safety Authority, we are not relenting on our oars at all. We are moving everywhere we can find any group of persons, individuals, in whichever capacity that we find them, as drivers, as passengers, as pedestrians, as motorcyclists or cyclists. We are engaging them. We are talking to them so that they can protect their own lives first. The responsibility of getting through this Christmas without any blemish, injured, death, or damage to your property lies with you as an individual. And then we come in to advise and give you the guidelines, and then the police will come and enforce the law. But I think that that responsibility of ensuring discipline and being responsible is that of yourself as an individual, as a vehicle owner, and as a road user.
To say you've spoken at length about education and all, and called on the police to also come in and do their job. But since you were, well, for the lack of a better expression, graduated from a commission to an authority, your work goes beyond giving advice, right? So when you come to the Road Traffic Act, it lists out what dangerous driving is, gives us the details of that, and also profess sanctions. Why don't we see a lot of that, at least? That may be deterrent.
Okay, good. I think that brings it back to the question of dangerous driving. I think the law has specified very clearly that any act on the part of the road user, especially the driver who sits behind the steering wheel, any act that we constitute as risky, dangerous, anything that can bring about the loss of life or damage to property or injury to the human body is constitute what we call dangerous driving. It means that if I sit behind the steering wheel and if I act in a manner that can kill or that can constitute death to an individual, damage to a property, or injury to a body, then we say dangerous.
I am asking, sorry to cut in, I'm asking about punishment.
Yes,
do
yeah,
we see, I mean, let's just, because there's quite a lot of ground to cover, so we've spoken about dangerous driving. Let's talk about the law now. Do we have people facing the full rigors of the law when they are caught involved in dangerous driving?
Fantastic. The law specifies very clearly the sanctions and the penalty regime. Let me use a typical case of this particular driver who, as a result of dangerous driving, caused the death of 35 persons at Dompua City the early part of this year. That driver has been sentenced to imprisonment for 5 years. He has been banned for driving a commercial vehicle for the rest of his life. Now, this is a typical case of what can happen to a particular driver if you are found in an act that constitutes danger or dangerous driving or careless driving on our road.
So I appreciate the example. I appreciate the example, Mr. Daunting, but we've seen a lot of road crashes this year, and this is an example you're giving. Do you think we need to up our game when it comes to punishing people, and so that it doesn't appear, oh, this is just well, one out of many, and so people think they can get away with recklessness on the road?
In fact, there have been quite a number of dangerous driving-related crashes and deaths that somehow the law courts have not treated it the way we have seen this particular one. There have been series of deaths in the past that we wish it went the same way. So it is an opportunity for us to hammer on the fact that the law court must also be up and doing. I agree with you that we have to up our game. Apart from that, we as an authority, coming from a commission, there are so many things we can do to support these acts of dangerous driving and so on. And this time round, we will not target the individual drivers. It is up to the police and the law courts to handle the issue of the individual driving dangerously and so on. But whilst I'm saying so, the National Road Safety Authority is now targeting the institutions. For example, that particular driver comes from a GPRTU as an organization. And so what do we do to the GPRTU in particular as an institution? He belongs to an institution. We go in there and investigate what was the contribution from that institution, GPRTU. What are the mechanisms in place? The mechanisms as relating to the circumstances that led to the crash, in terms of long distance driving, in terms of the vehicle that they use to operate, in terms of their operational systems, the training of the driver, the health related issues about the driver, the standards that they operate within. If all these things are not in compliance with our regulations and laws, as far as the National Road Safety Authority is concerned, that is where we come into sanction that particular institution.
Okay.
We are going to operate like the aviation, where a whole industry like GPRTU, Protua, or any of the transport operators can be sanctioned. We can revoke their license for allowing a driver who is not qualified or who causes such kind of deaths, and we ground the operations for a period of time or even forever. That is where we are going into it very soon. Starting, yes. So that is how far we can go as far as the authorities.
Roads without proper markings, no street lights. When I was coming to work at dawn, right from the 37 area through to Chado, through to the Cantonment's post office, all the way to the Flagstaff House, Christ the King area, absolutely no functioning street lights. There are no road markings on a lot of roads here in Ghana, potholes in the roads. With all these mentioned, don't you think it is unfair to put majority of the burden on the driver? Because what happens, and let me come in the case of no street lights, when you have a dual road or sometimes single lane, oncoming vehicles put on their lights. They put on their headlights, to the full. They blast their lights, and it blinds drivers on the other lanes. And this can be quite distracting. Aren't we putting too much blame on drivers when we know that the roads and other things that are supposed to make it more trouble do not function properly?
I agree with you, my sister. That is why we have called for the past 10 years the re-establishment and transformation of the National Road Safety Commission to an authority. The new mandate given to us now is that now we can, beyond education, regulate that road safety space. What it means is that we can now bring all the players in the space, in the industry, to book when they fail to perform. You have cited a typical example of the street lights. It is true. It is somebody's responsibility to ensure that our roads have these street lights functioning. And if it is not there, it means somebody is not doing his or her work. A particular institution.
Well, too bad we lost Mr. Donting there. I was just about to find out from him. All right, great to have you, Mr. Donting. So you were talking about those responsible for, example, making sure the road lights are, street lights, I beg your pardon, are working.
Yes.
The roads are well marked. So how do you come in as the Road Safety Authority? Because we as citizens know the institutions that work, but you have the power to question those institutions and even to sanction some of them. So what are you doing about it?
Fantastic. So under the new dispensation, to be honest with you, all these are issues that we are going to deal with under the Authority Act. Now, the Ghana Highway Authority, Department of Urban Roads and Feeder Roads, they're supposed to mark the roads. The roads must be marked. It must be signed. And then the street lights and the signalizing and all that. Now, what we are doing currently is that we are our ally that will back us to sanction them. It's not ready yet. We were given up to the end of this year to present the ally to Parliament, for Parliament to pass it, and then we can act on the ally to then effect our sanctioning mechanisms. I can assure you that the ally has been prepared. Had it not been these elections, I'm sure it would have been in Parliament for them to pass it now. Let us say that we have used this year to develop the LI. Now, entering next year, the LI passed by Parliament is now going to function. Function means that we can start issuing out the sanctioning mechanism, testing it at law courts, so that institutions that are required and responsible by law to put in certain features and certain infrastructure mechanisms and so to support our education will now be brought to book if they fail to. So for now, I agree with you. We haven't been able to sanction yet. But entering next year, God willing, with the airline pass, which will back us when it becomes necessary for us to apply, we will apply to the brim. And there will not be any excuses. A pothole must be patched within a certain limit of time. Street lights must function. Road line markings must be put in place. Signage must be put in place. We're not going to put the blame only on the driver any longer. Standards that we have developed and standards that are supposed to operate within the road space to protect the human life and property would have to apply. Otherwise, we will go for the sanctions. And this is where you're going to see the authority now up and doing, identify the problem, trace it to the responsible agency, ask them to act within a certain space of time, failure of which then the sanction mechanism will start applying. That is where I believe we're going to see real safety on the ground, which we call agroniform. And I can trust me, next year is going to be a different thing altogether.
We wait to see, because this involves lives, and the more we delay, I'm sure you know better than I do, because you have the statistics, and we know that the more we delay, the more lives we put at risk. As you leave, I'll just give you the opportunity in 1 minute to share with us what we can do on the roads, even as we get ready to celebrate Christmas, and so we don't have any casualties.
Fantastic. God willing, we have gone through the elections. We know what has happened. I think that the messages and the effort have yielded some results, because everybody's expectation was that we're going to go beyond the 44 deaths as recorded in 2016. Well, we have maintained it. It is not a good story to tell about anyway, but it is still some achievement. We didn't go beyond the 44 recorded in 2016. But we are entering the Christmas festivities and the New Year. So another responsibility again on all of us as a nation. Now, the National Road Safety Authority, whether sanctioning mechanisms or not, it will not bring any magic in terms of or a miracle. The responsibility of ensuring safety is still on us as individuals and as groups. So I want to take advantage of this opportunity to hammer on our campaign message, which we said, arrive alive. Any particular person, individual, if you move from your home to whatever destination, your target must be arriving alive. But we don't just arrive. We act in a manner that we will be responsible, and then we will be disciplined. If you're a driver, this is not the time to say it is your cocoa season. No, that adage is gone. The fact that you didn't make the money, the kind of money you need from January to November because of pandemic, it's not that December you come and make all the money. Please. It is time rather to demonstrate to Ghana, I'm a Ghanaian. I must protect my life and the lives of my other friend, brother, or sister. I am saying that don't let us drink and drive. The excitement should be over. Don't let us overspeed. The kind of speed we see on our streets by drivers or motorists, it's not acceptable. Let us be within the speed limits. 90 kilometers per hour on the highway, 100 kilometers per hour on the motorway. When you get to town or settlement, then you go below 50 kilometers per hour or below. Drinking, driving is out of the equation. Wherever we are tired, let us rest 30 minutes and continue the driving. I am saying that transport operators, if it is a long distance or for a distance that a destination that will go beyond 4 hours or 10 hours or 8 hours, break the drive. Let two drivers take that responsibility. One will drive 4 hours and the next will also drive 4 hours. I am saying that this is the time for us as pedestrians walking on the streets to be alert and to be careful. Let us cross the roads at where it is zebra crossing, really marked, or where we have footbridges. When we are sitting on motorcycles, as riders or pillion riders, wear your helmets and ensure that you go by the rules of the game on the road. If you're a passenger, don't just do the sign of cross and sleep.
All right.
But your seat belt and then watch the driver. If you find any misbehavior on the part of his driving, call 112. 112. It will come to us, and then we will alert the police to follow up and make sure that the law is operating.
That's a great one, Mr. Adonting. We'll have to leave it here. Thank you so much for your time. The number is 112 to call. So remember, if you're in a vehicle and you're prompting the driver and he doesn't seem to heed, just call 112 and the police will be informed.